Hello everyone, this is Jasmina, and in this video I'm going to talk about some of the negative days. Now these negative days are relatively infrequent. They're spaced out. It's not like every day has an energy. It's just certain days will have one of the negative energies. And so these don't come under a general school like the Black Rabbit or the Dong Gong or the Yellow and Black Belt. Um, you know, they're different because they're just certain days based on certain properties. Now, as promised, I'm going to cover the Gong Disaster Days. There are a couple more. I'm going to cover the 4 separation days, the 4 extinction days, and the 4 ferocious and big disaster days. It's sometimes they call it one thing, sometimes they put it together. It's got a lot of different names, but it's also called the no wealth days. So that's pretty significant. Now, the Yangon disaster dates usually occur only once a month, and there's one month where it is twice a month, but these days are not designed for yang activities, but they're not disaster days in the sense that everything is going to be terrible. There are things that are very good to do on these days. It's just not you just don't want to do yang activities. This formation is actually very simple, and this uses the lunar calendar. Now, physically, this is the day that in the moon's orbit around the Earth, it'll be where the moon is between the sun and the Earth. So if you're looking down on the solar system at 90 degrees to the orbital plane, and you take a line from the center of the sun to the center of the earth, you just draw a line. On this day, you will see that the moon crosses the line. It's, you know, the center of the moon will cross the line. So that's what this is designed to do. And because of the way the lunar calendar is now very accurately calculated, this is probably still true. Now, this is the point in time where a solar eclipse is possible. That is, for a solar eclipse to occur, you have to have the moon between the sun and the earth so that the moon shadows the earth. Now, although this happens once a month, most of the time eclipses do not happen. But this is the time that where it would happen if it's going to happen. Now, I think in most cultures, eclipses are viewed negatively, and that's true of Chinese metaphysics too. Of course, nowadays we know what it is. It isn't the sun being eaten as certain cultures believed at one time. So most modern people, aren't so worried about eclipses, and they're very cool to watch. Now, I've never been in a location where I've seen a total solar eclipse, but I've seen several partial ones, and they're pretty cool. And I mean, it is actually really cool to watch them. So, and I don't think anything bad happens when you do. This is more superstition. But I think the reason why this is called a disaster day is perhaps because of the size of China, maybe they couldn't tell the exact day in what region that they might have an eclipse. So they just say, okay, this is the day where we could have one. So let's make it a disaster day so everybody stays inside and they don't experience the eclipse. I think that's the idea behind this. But that's my speculation. But at least it makes some sense. So these are the days. Now, the seventh month, and these are the lunar months, has 2 days. And you see they're 28 days apart. And it takes just about 28 days for the moon to go around the sun. So this is why they're spaced this way. And that's it. Now, because we now do the lunar calendar based on actually the lunar. at least the Chinese, I mean, the Hong Kong Observatory does. I think these really are the true days when the moon is between the sun and the earth. So uh, I don't think this is like just a random thing. I really think it's real. Now, these days are actually very good for yin activities. So that means they're great for manifesting. They're great days to count your blessings, even if you don't have anything, everything you want, but you've got more than lots of people. I can guarantee that. If you're listening to me, you have access to the internet. There are a lot of people that don't have that. Or if you're watching on a phone, which is probably not ideal, you actually have data on your phone. I don't have data on my phone. Of course, I could, but I don't want to. But you have a lot of blessings if you're able to watch this. It's also a really good day for resting and restoring your energy. It's a good day for studying or learning something new or learning more deeply into a subject you're already looking at. It's really a good day for study because that's a very yin activity. But you do want to avoid yang activities. So opening up a physical business where, you open up the store, you have to serve customers, that is definitely something you don't want to do. You don't want to start building a house or any kind of groundbreaking. So wait another day to start digging the hole for the tree if that's what you're going to do. In the old days, the burials were very, very important. It's not so important anymore. But of course, burying somebody on the right day in the right location is the heart or the start of San He Feng Shui. I mean, that's how it all started. So the burials were very important back then. I'm not so sure they're very important anymore. So bury somebody when the time is appropriate. Now, uh, you want to also, for example, don't start an exercise routine on this day because you're going from doing nothing to something quite yang. So just wait one day or start the day before. And also, in general, you avoid important feng shui activities like starting a renovation, moving in, even doing a major rearranging of furniture in the house. That's quite a yang activity. Now, there is an exception here. If you can do this within the sun and moon arrival dates, then you don't have to worry about the Gong Disaster Days. But but again, this is only one day, and that window is 15 days, 14, 15 days long in the sun and moon arrival dates. So still, unless it's absolutely necessary, it's probably better to avoid that day. But as long as you're in the sun and moon arrival dates, which protects the entire house, you can do these things, even on a Yangon disaster day. Now, the forced separation days, again, are also days where yang activities are discouraged because these are days where energies are shifting quite a bit. And so, what might be good for the last section of time may not be so good for this new section of time. So that you don't want to, have this shift. But these are pretty simple days. These are the days before the two solstices and the two equinoxes. So this uses the solar calendar. So the Hong Kong Observatory will give these 4 dates, and they will name them. That is, the date will start. That one of these solar terms will start on the summer solstice, and that's what it'll say, summer solstice. And there's one that starts on the winter solstice, and one that starts on vernal equinox, and another on autumnal equinox. So those dates are given. And the 4 separation dates are one day before those dates. So super simple. You just go to this website, and it gives you at least 1 year ahead. You can find these dates very easily. The um, the best way to find the Hong Kong Observatory site that I'm talking about is just say Hong Kong Observatory solar term. Search that. It should be the first site that comes up. And these dates can vary a day or two every year because the Chinese solar year and the Gregorian year, they both have leap days, but they don't occur in the same year. So there is this shifting that can occur because you've got this variation, and especially during the um, the leap years in in the Gregorian calendar. You will see the next year the dates are a little bit weird. The four extinction days are also, again, days where yang activities are discouraged because they occur at the end of a season. So that energy of that season is the weakest, and before we start a new season. And so it's again the day before we start a new season. So again, this uses a solar calculator or calendar. And the seasons are spring, which is defined by the tiger, the rabbit, and the dragon months. And these are the solar months. And the summer is the snake, horse, and goat months. Autumn is the monkey, rooster, and dog months. And winter is the pig, rat, and ox months. Now we know that the Chinese solar New Year, that's the first day of the tiger month. So it's just the 3 months, so we have 4 seasons, the 3 months in consecutive order. Quite easy to remember if you just know you start with the tiger. Again, the Hong Kong Observatory is the place to get these dates, the exact dates. And they will say commencement of the 4 seasons of spring, summer, autumn, and winter. And so that day of the commencement, again, you subtract 1 day, and those are the extinction days. Super simple. Now, the 10 no wealth days are a bit more complicated. The source of these states have to do with the void or the death and emptiness. It depends on which people you're talking to, what they call it. But this is associated with the pillars in the Batsa system, and that has to do with we have 10 elements but 12 animal signs. So there's two guides that are outliers. Uh, it's actually very well explained at this website. Now, the page originally is in Chinese, but you can translate it to English and it's quite understandable. It's not like a big mystery. Now, these dates do not occur every year, but 2024 is one such year where they're present. And basically, these days you want to avoid making a financial decision or doing any kind of significant transaction. You can, go to the store and buy stuff, that's fine. But, don't buy a house, don't try to take out a loan, anything big. And this is the complete table. So during a metal dog year, any wood dragon day is a no wealth day. Now there's going to be, again, about 12 of these throughout the entire year. So they're not super common. So, you know, it's not too hard to avoid just these few days. Now, if you look carefully, you will see that each one of these are clash animals, right? I think everybody knows they're clash animals by now. And the relationship between the elements is one of control. This is metal, this controls wood. Now this again is metal controls wood, water controls fire, again water controls fire. Here metal controls wood, so it can go either way. Um, but this just happens to be the way it turns out. If you go to that website that I told you about, it will explain it in a lot more detail, a lot more clearly. I don't think I need to go through it again. So I would recommend that website and just translate it to English, and it's good. Now, we are in a wood dragon year. That's 2024. So any earth dog days are no wealth days. Now, if let's say you, I mean, this applies to everybody, basically equally. So if you have a court date and the court decides, because it doesn't care about date selection or feng shui or any of the Chinese metaphysics, it decides your court date this year is on Earth Dog Day. And you're not going to be happy, of course, but the same negativity is also affecting the person you're suing. So you're equally not good, so you can still win. It doesn't really affect where you might win or lose the court case because it hurts both of you guys basically equally. Exception might be if you are a dragon, it might actually hurt you more on this Earth Dog Day. So that might be the only exception. But, I wouldn't mess with the court if they say this is the day. And even if you have the dragon, you still fight as hard as you can. Make your point made in the court. So this, again, this affects everybody. So it's not like it just is going to affect you. So that's basically it. I'd like to thank you for watching. Please feel free to leave a comment or email me here if you have questions. And I've got, of course, some stuff available that is pretty relevant for both date selection, mostly on the coffee site, and for feng shui on the Payhip store. So again, I'd like to thank you for watching.